Hey guys, Collin here at Yoshimura. Today we're going to be showing you how to install an ENDH stem on your bike. We're going to go over what you need to complete the task and to get the best results to get this stem on your bike and have no future problems. We'll go over what you need, what to complete it, and to get you riding on the trails. All right, for starters, you're going to need your ENDH stem kit and whatever tools you need to get off your current stem. You're probably also going to need some headset spacers because our stem uses a much lower stack height. Torque wrench is really important, that you get the right torque spec in the right sequence, as well as a 4mm and a 5mm hex bit to get the ENDH on. You're also going to need a rag to wipe off your steer tube. It's really important that it's clean and not greasy. Okay, let's start out by taking off the stock stem. I just need a T25 for this one. You might need a 4 and a 5 for the top cap, stem, whatever else. We'll just get the bars pulled off and we'll set them on top of the tire until we get our stem set up. Let's go ahead and get this thing unboxed. Brand new in the box, coming at you. In the box, you will get the stem and your steer tube clamp bolts. That's pretty much all you need. There also is a install notice. There's a QR code. You can go on there and you can see the torque sequence and the torque spec. Everything's posted on there. We also have it on our website under the product on the website, so you can just go there as well. And of course, you get stickers. For starters, make sure you got no grease hanging out here. We don't want anybody's stem slipping. In this configuration, I got a pretty low rise handlebar on here, so I am going to keep a couple spacers under the stem still, just because our stem still has built-in rise, but maybe a 5 or 10 mil rise bars you might want to think about still keeping a couple spacers underneath. So I'm going to keep about 10 mil a stack in there, drop my stem on, a couple spacers on top, and making sure I have clearance above the steer tube. That way the top cap still compresses the whole headset. Let's get our top cap on. And you'll always know that you got it right and that the top cap isn't bottoming out on the fork, because you won't have a really hard bottom out on that top cap tool. And then next I'm just using the bits by hand here, and I'm going to take off the top clamps so we can set our bar on there nice and easy. All right, let's go ahead and get our bars on. Wow, that was easy. We'll get the top clamp started here with the bolts on them. Don't torque them down just yet. We'll go over that. It's a real important part. And you get your bars started. Get them pretty close. Just a little snug. It'll hold them in place. Make sure that the front two bolts aren't engaged yet, because you don't want this clamp to be stretching while we torque these four first. So make sure these are a little bit loose. Next up, go ahead and get your steer tube bolts out of the bag. We're going to put a little bit of grease on it. Making sure to get a little grease on the threads and then a little bit under the head. We just want to make sure we have a real accurate torque spec here. Get those started in. Just barely snug them by hand. Don't put a wrench on there yet. And now we'll go ahead and go over alignment and torque spec and get you riding. Next up, we're going to go over the torque sequence, starting with the compression. We'll probably put that at about 3 or 4 Newton meters. It's a good torque spec to get everything pulled together without overloading the bearings. Next, we'll get our alignment set and do our steer tube bolts, torquing back and forth till we get to the full torque spec, and then moving back to front on the 6 bolts on top, and then you are ready to go. Starting out first, let's go ahead and line up this top cap. We want everything looking factory here. Right there. And then go ahead and give the whole steer a little wiggle. So we want to make sure everything's settled in there and pulled up, and then go ahead and retorque it. There we go. And next up, easiest way to align your bars is look straight down at your bars against the top of the crown on the fork. Pretty much a telltale way to make sure you know you got your bars straight. Next up, I'm gonna set the torque wrench starting at 4 Newton meters, just to make sure I know that I'm getting these two bolts at an even torque until I get up to the full torque spec at 6 Newton meters. So I'll give it a few turns. I'll go to the bottom one. Once I feel that one tense up, I'll go back to the top until I hear them both click. Got a click there, and a click there. Now go ahead and set the torque wrench up to 6 Newton meters. And if you ever forget, it's laser etched right there, so you can't forget it. And then same process for this, just back and forth until they both click. Maybe an eighth turn, quarter turn at the most. Got a click. And then I'm going to go back and forth over them one more time. There we go. There we go. The reason we do this is because after you torque these 4 bolts down, it's not going to allow the base plate to pinch together as much. So that's why it's really important to get this torqued before the top. So the whole time we just have these finger tight, as I mentioned before. Now we'll go ahead and start with these, starting from back to front. And in case you forgot, you're making sure that these are not tight at all. Let's go ahead and set this first to 10 Newton meters. Moving back to front. And then I'm going to go over them one more time, just so I know. Awesome. Now, you'll notice you can move your bars just a little bit more, so this is kind of your last little chance to get them where you like them. I like to hold them wherever I like it and just kind of hit them by hand real quick. That way from then on out, I can just put it right on the torque wrench and go from there. For this, I like to do something similar to the steer tube. So I'll start it out at 3 Newton meters, just so I know I got them even, and then I will work them up to the full torque spec of 5 Newton meters. And then we are ready to ride. Now, since this is a 2-piece clamp, you don't have to go back and forth on them. You can do one all at once and then go back. Go ahead and go up to 5 Newton meters. Wait for that click. Right there. Double check them. Why not? Just like that. Finishing touch. Let's go ahead and realign this top cap. There we go. All set. Thanks for watching the video, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. If you got any questions or anything, go ahead and see the description below. We got our contact in there. And in the meantime, safe shredding, have fun, and see you out on the trails.